The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of Green Acres and our guests. These general gardening tips and suggestions may work for you, as well as those from alternative sources. When using any garden products or tools, read and follow all label directions. And learn how to make your yard summer strong at bewatersmart.info.
The Green Acres Garden Podcast is the podcast dedicated to helping gardeners hone their growing skills while we celebrate our love of plants. So whether you're new to growing or a seasoned gardener, you're sure to learn something new. Join the fun as we have conversations with world-class growers, passionate green thumbs, and professional garden experts from Green Acres Nursery and Supply. Listen every week. We'll answer questions you didn't know you had. And away we grow. Hello there and welcome one and all to the show. Thank you so much for being here. This is the Green Acres Garden Podcast, the happy home for all you gardeners out there. My name is Kevin Jordan. I love plants, and I'm so happy to be here this week because guess what? I'm on vacation, so I'm tickled pink. We have a great episode for you. It'll be some controlled chaos, but I'm sure by the end you'll be happy you listened. In studio to be my co-pilot this week, as always, Austin, the international man of mystery. Blank, how's it going there, Austin?
Wow. Hello, and welcome back to all of our listeners. Welcome to the show. It's the best time of the week. It's garden podcast time.
Love it.
Kevin, let's get everything up and running. I want to hear about what's going on with you, maybe at the school garden, at home. Any updates from you?
Dude, so much. So I mentioned I'm on vacation this week. I'm loving it, but I've been battling my... I have two twins at home.
Yeah.
Of course. They think the trash can is like a toy box.
Okay.
So I'll be throwing away packages. I'm like looking around. Oh wait, didn't I just throw this away? Yeah,
they're pulling it out.
I keep throwing. So I'm battling them. Oven button. They're pushing oven buttons, which is getting a little crazy. I started to cook something. I come back like 15 minutes later. I'm like, doesn't I don't smell anything. Like they turned it off. So I'm battling them, but it's if I can get rid of Bermuda grass in the garden, I can deal with the twins, no problem. But that's got me excited to share something a little off kilter, Austin. I hope we don't diverge too much. This is the thing I'm going to talk about next. Is I think will become the next big thing. For gardeners, and by big thing I mean one more thing for us to like get hooked on and obsess over and just get really curious about.
You got me on the edge of my seat.
I'm talking mushroom cultivation at home, and I know they're not plants. Actually, technically, we have more in common with the fungal kingdom than plants do. So fungus, mushrooms, so unique, so incredible, but very similar in a way that if you like growing things, cultivating food, and watching life flourish before your eyes, then consider growing mushrooms. So we did a little bit at the school. We raised a little bit of money. We got ourselves this thing called a Martha tent. It's basically just a little rack, like a shelf. It has a plastic skin on the outside. We have a humidifier and a fan to pull out all the. They breathe like us, like humans. Mm-hmm. It's so they breathe in oxygen. They exhale carbon dioxide, which is kind of cool because sometimes people will pair their like seedling trays and things, alongside some of their mushroom grows because. As one, the plants are breathing out oxygen, the mushrooms are breathing in it. So pretty cool.
It's like companion planting.
Right. But so in this little tent, you're exhausting out the air with a little tiny fan, pulls out the air and puts in, you have one, like I said, a humidifier, putting in moisture. And boop, 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 boop. We did it with the kids. We purchased these blocks it's just almost like sphagnum moss, where it becomes pre-inoculated with the spores of the fungus, which is like kind of akin to seeds, how we plant seeds for plants.
So you're saying that's how you received it, right? It
was
these blocks
and
that are pre-inoculated.
They're ready to rock.
Okay.
And all you do is you just slice them open
to let the air transfer happen.
And once that oxygen gets to that block, boop, 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 within a few days. I mean, we'll come in on a Monday and we'll see the mushrooms. I mean, as big as like the tip of your thumb. Tip of your finger, and then by Wednesday, Thursday, we're harvesting these massive like flushes of beautiful mushrooms that almost are as big as a human head altogether.
Cool.
We had chestnut mushrooms. I cooked that up with the kids. A little garlic, a little butter, some chestnut mushrooms on some sourdough, a little salt, a little pepper, a little bit of fresh parm on top. Incredible. Just so good. We got the oyster mushrooms, the golden oysters, the Italian oysters, the blue oysters, and now we're gonna get our hands on the pink oyster mushrooms. So beautiful, so delicious, and it got me thinking, man, if you love cultivating plants and tomatoes, maybe the fungus might be for you. So just something to can think about. I don't know. I wouldn't mind getting maybe a listener on or someone who's a friend of the pod who maybe does this, alongside their own, vegetable gardening.
Great
it's
idea.
A lot of the same skills and concepts and ideas go into it. And guess what? Didn't pull any weeds.
Yeah.
There was a lot of it was just low hanging fruit.
So what is the Martha tent? Is that a big expense?
No, and you can make them. It's just a little, one of those at least simple little at-home greenhouse.
Okay.
Sometimes people get them for starting their
To
seeds.
lock in humidity?
Yes.
Okay.
And so that locks in a certain amount of humidity, but then you need to bring the air out, expel that.
Interesting.
But very cool. So fresh air and moisture is essentially it. And then the temperature of your home is perfect for a lot of these mushrooms. So something to think about.
If you're a fun guy or a fun gal that's a listener out
Yes.
there, and you cultivate mushrooms, maybe you've got some info we could learn from, and maybe you could talk to us. I would love to hear from you. Go ahead and reach out to us on our Facebook podcast group and get in touch with us. It'd be great to learn more about this and maybe turn this into a big topic.
I would love it, and I think it will just translate into more knowledge about how we can help our plants with fungus and understanding how they grow, with the mycelial network. We always talk about mycorrhiza and all these interesting, organisms and life forms that we benefit from. So, more knowledge, the better, dude. So I loved it. And now we're eating them, dude. I've been cooking I've been feeling like a fancy chef. I think it's really just a vehicle for butter and garlic.
Absolutely. That's so always good. Yeah, yeah.
The texture, it's like meaty, almost tastes like rotisserie chicken, like the dark meat where it's so good. Just something to think. And it got me to think, I can't wait for just more vegetables.
For sure.
Because it's like, oh, yeah, I do like this. I do like vegetables.
I do like vegetables.
Yeah, I do. This is good stuff.
Right on. That is super cool. I'm glad to hear you guys are trying. You're always trying something new. You're always experimenting over there. Well,
I'm telling you, the garden leads to the kitchen leads back to the garden, which actually leads to this week's episode. I've got a few topics that I want to delve into.
Yeah.
I've noticed at the nurseries, it's like this is a call to action, especially for people that are into growing edible landscapes, having their landscapes, their home, generate some food for them to enjoy. It's so much fun to go out in the backyard or whatever, even the front yard and harvest. Actually, I brought you a little treat, Austin.
Okay. Yeah, I see this here. These are some little citrus. What is this?
So that is a thornless Mexican lime, also known as a key lime. It's a thornless version of the key lime. Those are really small. And what color are those, Austin?
These are yellow. Well, the little hint of green on them.
Yes. So those.
But this is a lime, you said.
I planted that tree. I got it for myself. For me, citrus is the gift that keeps on giving. Last year, actually, I gave myself a gift of a citrus tree. I was like, you know what? I got a little space in the front yard. It's pretty sunny out there. Got myself a little sapling, just a little starter.
Of this?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
And within a year, the tree matured. It's full blazing sun. I took pretty good care of it. And now I got a couple hundred of those came off. And yet they're on the smaller side. And what's cool is when they start, they are like a rich, true kind of lime green. But as they matured, I noticed right as they started really getting ripe, they started kind of turning yellow.
Interesting. Yeah, I thought maybe this was underripe, but you're saying this is like riper.
That is the
perfectly
peak
ripe
ripeness.
Wow.
And go ahead and squeeze it with your fingers a little bit. I didn't cut it for you.
Yeah.
But so juicy. They are so full of juice. It's mostly juice and not very, very pulpy. The flavor is brilliant and bright. I've made some key lime pie with it recently. I'll give my recipe right now.
Okay.
All right, get your pens out.
What's that?
Okay, so get yourself one of those pre-done dishes, the pie crust.
Wait, you're making pies out of this?
Yes. So you squeeze half a cup of juice of the lime juice. You get 4 egg yolks and 1 can of condensed milk, and you mix those together, and you put it in a pie dish, and you bake it for 350 for like 15, 16 minutes. That is it.
Wow.
Those 3 things. So it's lime juice, condensed milk, and egg yolks. Literally, it's the power of sweetness versus
the sour.
That tartness, and they are going at it. And it tastes good. It's traditionally like a summer recipe. For me, they're ripe right now. So guess what? It's my tradition. We're gonna, enjoy them while we have them.
Nice.
I love them, and I just think every landscape a citrus should be either considered and or included because they are so versatile. That's an evergreen. They have beautifully fragrant flowers. The fruit you can't beat. So if we could talk a little bit about citrus.
Absolutely.
And the are you down for that, Austin?
I am down. I was actually just recently up in Newcastle and stopped at the Newcastle Farms to buy some mandarins. I know it's mandarin season.
Oh, yeah.
And I was thinking about, I don't know if this is something that you said or something that another guest said, but it was making me think about how when it gets cold and you might start getting sick. I know a lot of people are getting sick now, right? And nature sort of provides, right? It gives you that citrus, that vitamin boost just when you need it. It's such a cool thing to think about that, when the body is in need, sort of, nature is going to provide this.
For sure, Austin. And that area you mentioned, Newcastle, that is world renowned for growing mandarins. We've had them from there. They're so sweet with just a little hint of tartness. I love them, man. They bring me to the Mandarin Festival all day, every day. But you know what? If you can't make it, then you got to just grow your own mandarins.
So is that something that we should be thinking about right now? Like if somebody does want to grow a mandarin, are you saying that now is the time?
Yes. So for me, citrus, absolutely. It's the best time to plant them, honestly, would probably be when it's as the soil warms up. But you can plant them any time of the year. The one I just mentioned that had hundreds, I planted that in the dead of winter last year.
Okay.
But usually some people might find one they love, bring it home, and then wait till it gets a little bit warmer. But our weather is so mild, you can basically plant any time of the year. So one of the reasons why I love citrus so much is that you can do a lot with them. First of all, they're really easy to care for. If you want to use them as an evergreen, hedge to screen out your neighbor or whatever, you could do that. If you want to grow them as a single solitary tree where you've actually pruned it and made it look extra pretty and you can show off some of those limbs as they get older, you can do that too. It's a specimen, but I like them just grown as a big old fat shrub.
A big old shrub.
Yes. Let them get big. They don't require super intense pruning like some of the other fruit trees we may discuss in future episodes that, take a little bit more thought and having open center. Citrus trees, you can prune them to shape and size as needed. Remove those suckers, that all those branches that are growing below the graft. For me, that's the one thing. If you're like, hey, what can I do this time of year? Any time of the year for citrus, always be checking for the suckers because they tend to kind of come back a little bit and they grow with a vengeance. I pulled suckers out of some of our orange trees at the school. 15 feet tall. And a tree that's only 12 feet tall.
Wow.
So they pop up really quick, but just pull them out as needed. You'll notice they will shoot up below the graft. The graft is usually like a little diagonal wound about 4 to 8 inches above the surface of the soil, and that's where your tree really starts. So anything below that, you got to get it gone. So remove those. Any dead branches, you can get those gone. But ultimately, I don't do a lot of pruning this time of year. I'll wait until after harvest, after winter, as we head into spring. I usually like to give my shaping then, but right before the flowers come, because you don't want to cut off all those blossoms in spring.
Okay.
That is a bummer.
Well, you're making it sound easy to grow a citrus. I mean, what
easy.
What other care considerations? They all pretty much do pretty well in our climate, right?
So what it is they are so citrus are kind of categorized as this evergreen tree or shrub. Usually, I think native to Asia originally. They come from warmer climates, kind of temperate, and they have these fragrant flowers, and they tend to have these beautifully fleshy, juicy fruits. Some that have thicker, fleshier rinds than others. Some that are a little bit on the sweeter side, and some that are really, really tart. And then, of course, some in between. But all your lemons, your limes, your oranges, your grapefruits, your citrons. That is the OG citrus.
Citron, huh?
Citron, yeah. The citron. That is the very first citrus known to be cultivated. And then a lot of the citrus that we know are just hybrids back and forth between, the different groups of lemons and citrons and pomelos and all the oranges that we get and the mandarins that spurred off that, the limes. It's pretty cool. And what's nice is that there is a citrus for most situations, some that are more resistant to cooler weathers and some that actually require some warmer weather. So do you want to get into that a little bit?
Do you have some examples for that?
So for instance...
Because I'm imagining, like even most people here are in Zone 9B, there is some subtle differences, right? Like we've got people up the hills a little bit.
Absolutely.
We've got, I'm in a little bit of a hotter region here, but there's some varieties, so I'm wondering if that matters.
So we're so lucky here in that we get weather that we can grow a lot of different plants, citrus included. So citrus for us tend to do really, really well, especially for me, the sweeter citrus. The mandarins, the oranges, navel oranges. They really respond well to the warm temperatures we get in the summer. And our weather in the winter isn't so brutal that they love it a little bit. They don't mind those when we get those little brief moments that are kind of near frost. They don't tend to shy away from that. We get really delicious sweet harvest. I mean, if you're listening and you want, hey, I want something super delicious. I want to walk out of my house like I'm in just paradise and pluck something off the tree and bring it and eat it. Consider yourself a Washington navel orange or any hybrid of the navel oranges. I've got a cara at home, super delicious. We've got the Washington navels at the school. I mean, I've got some on that tree, Austin. They are as big as the head on my children. As a toddler's head. They're huge. The rind peels away like
it's an easy peel.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of bred into it too, right? The peel thing. And then are you saying that the warmth makes it sweeter?
They need that a little bit. So if you live somewhere you're like, man, it's really chilly where I'm at, maybe you get it to like limp along a little bit, and then it's just never probably going to develop those sugars. For those sugars to form, you kind of need that warm temperature. But if you do live somewhere where you're like, we get, relatively, but it's just not hot summers, but it's that's where your lemons and limes really shine.
Okay.
So you wouldn't think it, but some of those the ones that are a bit more tart, but lemons and limes, they can handle those climates that maybe don't peak out and with really warmer summers, but you'll still get some nice citrusy, that citric acid kind of in your diet a little bit. For me, if you're gonna have one of them, lemons, the Meyer lemon for us, especially in our area, it loves our climate. It's a very juicy hybrid that's been bred to be a bit more disease free and really easy to grow. It was coming back to Martha tents. I mean, come on, Martha Stewart popularized it just because she started using it in her cooking, and everyone was like, "Oh, okay, if she good enough for her," because they're really juicy. So if you have recipes that require that, and they tend to be a little less tart than like your traditional like Lisbon or like a Eureka lemon that has that.
Meaning sweeter?
It has a little sweetness to it.
Okay.
I do believe it might have been hybridized with a mandarin a little bit in there in its bloodline. And so it has a little bit of sweetness, but I mean, it's still pretty tart. But for us at the school, we love them because they produce, almost around the year. Like we're coming in to a kind of a harvest period right now with our Meyer lemons. And then we likely will get another, like a repeat later in the year, which is really cool. I love that. So in certain climates and certain areas, especially kind of close to the coast, where it's a little bit more moderated, you might just get just repeat just almost throughout the year lemons, which is pretty cool. And if you go to the grocery store and you need lemons for a recipe, and you go, oh my gosh, these are kind of getting expensive.
Sometimes they're like $1 each.
To walk out on your porch and go grab a big old fat lemon or a bunch of them, it's so cool. We get an abundance at our own house as well, and so my wife will cut them up, freeze them. She does a bunch of stuff with them.
Oh, cool.
So lemons galore. Really easy to grow. The flowers, they smell so good. So for me, it's one of those plants that it kind of belongs in almost every yard. The one thing, Austin, that you really want to consider, is if you really want these plants to be successful and you want citrus to be in your part of your life, they need sunshine. We talked about how they do come from warmer climates and they need that kind of heat a bit, but what they really crave is a lot of sunshine. They're a fruiting plant. If I've had one in my backyard, it was limping along for years, and it did produce some fruit. But now that the canopy's been thinned out above them, the plant is like raging. So even within that one individual, I've noticed, they really respond well.
So it'll still grow, but for it to thrive and produce the
6 to 8 hours a day minimum, right? And so you want them in an area southern exposure if you can manage it. And just put it in a spot where it gets full sun. They are very famously, tolerant actually of being able to survive and do okay in a lot of different types of soil, even clay included. But what they really don't want to do is sit in an area where the water just rests and their roots can be inundated repeatedly with standing water.
I feel like I've heard people say this, something like they don't like their feet wet.
No, yeah,
is that what this is?
Just like you and I, or anybody else who wants wet feet.
Okay.
Citrus certainly don't want wet feet. So if you do, you can do the old test. You dig a big hole and you fill it full of water, let it drain, fill it again, kind of see how fast it drains, and get an idea. Most of the areas around here, for some of our listeners, if you kind of know your soil, if you got heartpan, so. There's a couple different things you can do. You can dig a much larger hole, amend it with half of your existing soil and half of a soil conditioner, some kind of compost mix or a citrus planting mix, something that's will increase the drainage properties of that area. You can also go up a little bit and kind of plant them in a raised bed kind of situation where they are now above the kind of the native soil around them a little bit, allowing for that water to kind of drain down and away from their trunk and their root system a little bit. Now they do want to be watered in a way where they do want some water. They just don't want to be inundated with water and constantly water. So if you have them in an area in a lawn where they're getting kind of repeatedly watered all the time, this might encourage you to kind of really kind of take a look at how you water your lawn a little bit, because your citrus trees are really going to appreciate deep, infrequent watering. It's a chance to get water, use it up, and then really wait for them to dry out just a little bit to be watered again. And sometimes I'll see this in my trees where I'm guilty of that myself, where it's hot or I'm watering them. The plant looks a little stressed maybe, and then I water them so much, and then I come back and water them again a little bit too premature. You'll see cupping on the leaves. And the leaves, it's very distinct. If people are listening, they go, "Oh, I've seen that." It's just that plant going, "I can't breathe. Please let me dry out a little bit before you water me again next time." And so just a little consideration. So dig down a little bit, do the finger test, dig as deep as you can, get the screwdriver out. But ultimately, they're pretty low. They're low key. They're not that fussy.
Okay, that's really cool. I like that you said there's a sign that the leaves will show that they're stressed in that way. The leaves will cup, right?
Yeah, they'll talk to you a bit.
That's really cool to know that. Is there any other signs of stress that a citrus tree specifically might show, and like what that might say about what's going on?
So for me, the one thing that the biggest consideration for getting them healthy, once you have the one you've selected, the right one for you that you've selected, and you've got it in the right area with tons of sun, and you've got it planted. For me, it's pests. They can get they're a little sensitive sometimes. And so out in the school garden, I'm noticing things like we've seen aphids on a lot of that. We'll notice new growth in the spring. The aphids will attack the new growth. Late in the season right now, I've noticed scales, which are very similar to aphid in that they'll be accompanied with their good friends, the ants. The ants like to farm them. The scale will, they're sap suckers. They'll pierce into the plant, pulling out fluid and damaging the tissue of the plant. If it gets bad enough, you'll see whole branches just go black on your citrus tree.
Oh, no.
So you really want to get in there. So the scales look like these little brown, kind of flattened little dots all over your branches, and they don't move a lot. You don't see them moving too quickly, but they pile up and they become a problem. So I've noticed them. I blast them off with water. First things first. I just use a pressurized little hose. I just put your thumb over it, whatever, the garden hose, spray them off. And that jet of water will blast off a good portion of them, maybe 90% or better. And I might even come back and do that 2 or 3 times within a day or two. And then I just kind of keep an eye out. Typically, I'll follow that up and I'll use maybe a horticultural oil, and I can spray. And for any survivors, anybody remaining, we'll get a good dose of that if needed. But for me, the aphids and the scale, maybe some mites if you noticed. I've even noticed cottony cushion scales sometimes, which is another form of the scales. These are the few, it's few and far between, but if you get to them early and often, first with a jet of water and then with the horticultural oil, they don't ever really become a big issue, which is great. And so then your plants can rebound and be fine.
You don't think anyone should be like scared of that and not go for a citrus?
Just know what they look like and just kind of, when you walk out, like I said, gardener steps are so good for the garden. If it's in between rainstorms this fall and winter, get out there, take a peek. And you'll notice them. It's very noticeable for me on our lemon trees, and I use it as, for me, it's a great opportunity to teach the students. You say, "Hey, look at these! Oh my gosh!" You can kind of wipe them off with your fingers a little bit, but who wants to do that over an entire tree? So blast them off with the hose, and then you can use soaps if needed or horticultural oil, and just be deliberate. You don't You don't want to spray any good bugs. But for me, it's really easy to manage the bugs on them. And then if you do notice a branch that is damaged or whatever, just cut it away right now. Because like I said, they can. I've seen those limbs go. You'll go, oh, I should have got to it sooner. But then just get those limbs gone. New growth will come in the spring. And that brings me to my next topic, Austin.
Okay, what do you have next?
You don't need to worry about fertilizing them right now.
Okay.
Wait till they start growing. Wait till things warm up and you start seeing some active growth. I like using organics. Huge for me, mulch is part of my fertilizing regimen, and that's kind of like mulch breaking down over time. So I love using thick layers of mulch to protect the roots around my citrus. I'd recommend you do that. Replenish it as needed. Just don't pile it up against the trunk, right? That's our golden rule. Leave a little donut around the very base of your trunks. Let that trunk breathe a little bit, but having 2, 3, 3.5, 4 inches of mulch around the root system of those citrus can really help kind of insulate that soil. It reduces all that precious water loss that we would get. That water's so precious. You don't want to lose it, so especially when things warm up. But for us, as that mulch breaks down over time, it really enriches the soil. We ran into a mandarin farmer years ago. I think it was like our first year on the pod.
Out at Mandarin Fest.
And he was one of those Newcastle farmers.
Yeah.
And we asked him, I was like, what are you feeding with? He's like, honestly, I've been doing it for so many years. He's like, we add so much wood chip and mulch over the years. He's like, it's broken down and created just this thick layer of just, broken down organic matter where all this biology is just going on. And he's like, my trees are just lush.
That was the big secret. It was mulch.
Yes. So for us, mulch, compost, some people even go as far as to pull back their mulch, add in a thick layer of compost around the same area we were just discussing, and then cover that all back up with mulch again.
Nice.
So there's some things you can do, but for me, I would hold off on even thinking about feeding until things warm up. Don't even waste your time.
Yeah, thanks for breaking down citrus, all the updates that are going on. Super cool stuff. And then I just got a resource that I want to share that I'm going to put in the episode description that has to do with citrus and citrus care. And this is from our friends over at Four Winds Nursery. So if you're, thinking about checking out all these cool selections of all these things to grow and you want to do it, check this resource out too to help you. These people are pros when it comes to citrus.
Oh, yeah.
Check that out. And then, thank you so much, Kevin. This is inspiring. And I just love that now I'm like starting to harvest, and eat some of this delicious stuff. And it makes me think about growing it. And I hope people are inspired to grow more edible stuff like this in their own yards. It's just so cool that you could do that, So thank you for jumping into this with me. That's all of the time we have for this week. Kevin, go ahead and take us out.
Dang, then the clock flies and we start talking plants, bud. I love it. I get so fired up when I'm able to go out in the garden and harvest something and share it with somebody. For me, it's a huge sense of pride when we're out in the school garden, especially, and students are able to pull something off the tree that they're nurturing and cultivating and bring it home or go cook with it or eat it right away. It feels pretty good. Citrus, I'm telling you, citrus belong in everybody's garden. If you live somewhere like a Zone 9B and you can actually go up and down just a little bit, citrus are a versatile plant. They're super easy to take care of. They're so productive. You can actually extend that harvest. There's a lot of varieties that you can learn about. So you can start the harvest at one part of the year, and it can go for months and months and months. I love citrus, whether it's in the ground or in a container. Citrus all day, garden friends. I hope you all have a great week. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Green Acres Garden Podcast. Let's all make this the best gardening podcast in the world. Share us with a friend. Get us out there and come back next week for more garden adventures because you know what? I'm never stopping growing, friends.
There we go.
Happy gardening to you all, and please never stop growing.